field for I was in the medical field for 18 years and then moved on to work here at the agency. And since then, my mother has retired, and I am the lead agent and the office manager. And I specialize in all of our group extended travel as well as individual travel. So this is in my wheelhouse to work with the SIRS groups. I work with several other SIRS groups around the area, as well as many other senior centers and fraternal organizations. So working with groups is not, new to me. So we'll go ahead and start the presentation. So much like Tan said, we are inviting you to join the Branch 128 on the Columbia Snake River, and it is May 12th, 2022. So we'll talk a little bit about the voyage, and then we'll talk about pricing, and then we'll talk about a special at the end. So the American Harmony is the the vessel that this particular itinerary is on. So it is not a paddle wheeler like it was shown in the original flyer. The American Cruise Line does have several paddle wheelers. However, these are their newer vessels. So the American Harmony, she was inaugurated in 2019. So clearly with COVID, she has not had too many voyages. So she'll be nice and fresh for May 12th. She has a capacity of 190 passengers and 102 staterooms. Now, she is the second one in line for American Cruise Lines in their release of their new vessels. So she, like I said, is second in line and one of their newest contemporary river vessels. The thing that I love about this ship and doing some research to get information for you guys as well is that it is an all balcony vessel, which is really nice because as we know, river cruises on our American rivers are a little bit pricey. And in the past on other vessels, to be able to have a balcony, you were really bumping yourself up in categories, where this is really allowing you to extend your travel dollars to be whatever's comfortable and still have the luxury of having a balcony. So that is definitely a bonus on this voyage. The itinerary, if some of you went online to take a gander at the itinerary for the voyage, you might have looked at the original itinerary. This particular date is the reverse itinerary. So you do have to kind of do a couple extra clicks to get this itinerary. So the cruise begins in Clarkston. So the way this works is that you will fly into Spokane. So you'll fly into Spokane, and then you'll have one pre-night stay at a hotel in Spokane. The cruise line has not released what hotel this will be yet. They do anticipate that they'll release that around January, but it's just in the midst of doing all of their contracts, so they won't release that. If that is something you're interested in knowing, I do not have the answer for that. From Spokane, it is about a 2-hour motor coach ride to board your vessel. The motor coach ride from Spokane to the vessel is included in your cruise fare, as well as a breakfast that morning. So you will fly in. I'm happy to help you with that. We'll get you transferred from the Spokane airport to your pre-night hotel stay. And then the moment you step foot at that property, American Cruise Line takes over and they will move you all the way through to the end of your voyage. So again, the itinerary is listed here on American Cruise Line. You can go onto their website and look at the day by day. It shows you what are the included excursions, what are your options for the days. They do a really great job laying out all the sites that you're able to see. So we'll go ahead on to the next slide. American Cruise Line, as you know, leader in small ships. I know Tan has enjoyed one of their voyages before. Domestic cruising at its finest is what they like to tout themselves at. And the cruise fares are very inclusive. So again, gratuities, that's always a nice bonus, not having to worry about that. Wi-Fi is very nice to have on board at no additional charge, so that's also really a nice one. But the shore excursions at each port of call. This is something that, those of us who have done river cruises in Europe have enjoyed. And this is the only way domestically that you would be able to go on a cruise and really enjoy included excursions is on American Cruise Line. Some of the other cruise lines that do domestic river cruises don't have as many included tours. They have a lot more options. American Cruise Line touts themselves off on having less paid options and more included options. The other luxury is the historians and naturalists. So this is also something very nice. We all want to go on vacation and visit these sites to learn and see things. We're not just going to shop at the port of call. So they've got historians and naturalists on board that do talks daily and are available for questions and answers. So that's also a nice bonus. Afternoon tea, breakfast room service is included for all categories. It's not just for suites on board this vessel. You've got beer and wine at lunch and dinner, nightly cocktail hours, evening entertainment, which is also nice because this vessel is larger. They're able to have a little bit more of an expansive evening entertainment. Their culinary program, they really tout this. They have locally sourced ingredients, so your chef and your kitchen crew will be getting off at ports of call to purchase some of the dinners you'll be having that night, so that's also really exciting. Again, the hotel stay is included. Transfer to your ship on embarkation is included, and then transfer from your ship to the Portland airport at disembarkation is included as well. Along with that, twice daily stateroom being cleaned, which is also very nice. And then an all-American crew. And what I should have actually put on there is it's an all-American vaccinated crew, which we all know is something important to all of us. Also, elevator access to all the decks, which on some of the river cruise vessels, domestic, it doesn't go, the elevators are not to all decks. So that's also very nice that we've got elevator access to all the decks. Pricing. So let's chat about pricing. So I did want to list this for you to see the square footage. So we all know that all of the cabins or staterooms do have a balcony. So the square footage on deck 1 is only 25 square feet, different than the cabin you would have on deck 2. So it's kind of nice to be able to see the pricing based off of the square footage. Currently, I will tell you availability wise, there are only about 4 cabins left on deck 1 in the AAR category. However, in deck 2, 3, and 4, so the AAL, AAC, and AAM have quite a bit of availability. Actually, on deck 2, it's the entire deck is open, and deck 3 and 4 have about 20 cabins each available. So that's nice that you are buying into a date that has quite a bit of occupancy. The veranda suites have only 2 left, I will tell you that. The owner suite is sold out, and there is 1 grand suite if that is something that you are interested left for purchasing. The one line that I do want for you to look at along with the pricing is the cruise protection. So that's something that I'm going to talk about in the next slide, but I just want for you to take a minute and gander at the pricing for that so we can talk about what is included in that protection, because it is a bit different than insurance that we're used to. So I think that this is really important to see. And if you would like for me to email this slide to you, or you're interested in doing a screenshot or something of this slide, please feel free to tell me at the end, and I'm happy to get your information and send you the pricing slide. So cruise protection. So this is something obviously post-COVID everyone is interested in, and this I want to spend a little bit of time talking about this, and if you have questions, we'll talk about it at the end. So with American Cruise Line, because this is domestic, this is not a traditional insurance policy. So I just want to make sure I stress that to you. This policy does not have medical coverage. It does not have lost baggage. It does not have a trip delay coverage. This is coverage to just protect your cruise fare, your travel dollars. So if you are looking at needing, if you're going to extend your trip or you're going to do a bunch of add-ons pre or post, this might not be the best policy for you. And if that's the case, this is something we should talk about offline separately. If you are sticking with the itinerary, then I would say it's important that you purchase this cruise protection within 2 weeks of your deposit, because the coverage, like I list here, is far better. So you are able to cancel for any reason up to 10 days prior to your travel date and receive 90% back of your cruise fare in cash. So that is really important because we are in the era of hearing all about future travel credits. This is back in cash. If you cancel for any reason up to 9 days prior to your travel date, at that point, you receive 80% back, and it is that future cruise credit rather than cash. So these are really important elements that we need to remember. You are able to purchase this cruise protection up into your final payment. However, then the terms change. So at that point, 10 days prior, you only receive 80% back in cash. And then 9 days prior, it's 70% back in a future cruise credit. So this is something I just really want to make sure that we talk about and that everyone has all their questions answered, because a lot of times we think we're buying insurance and that's not what this particular plan is. This is a cruise protection, and basically it's just protecting your travel dollars. So I just want to make sure I stress that. The beauty of this, if you're not interested in extending or anything like that, is that you do have your own medical coverage with your personal medical insurance, because you are traveling domestically. So that is the bonus of that, but it is something we should discuss further individually to make sure you are getting the proper coverage for whatever element you decide to book. So booking. I know this is a SIRS trip. However, all of the booking will come through me and through my office. And so to book your stateroom, I will have you call Travel Center, and our office number is here. And we can maybe e-blast this out to the group or whoever signed up if you're interested. But I would ask for you to call the office, and you'll speak to myself, Lisa, and we'll get all the pertinent information and get you locked into a stateroom. The one thing we need to keep in mind is a booking deadline. So I would like to propose a booking deadline of July 28th for this. The goal is to get at least 6 folks signed up on this voyage. And the reason why we would like to achieve that goal is that if we get 6 folks signed up, there is a booking discount. And it is significant. If we get 6 folks signed up, it's a $600 cabin discount. So that's really a nice discount that I would love for you guys to be able to take advantage of, which is why it's very important that we try and implement this booking deadline. I myself am going on vacation, which is exciting. I am leaving on Friday. However, I've made arrangements with American Cruise Line to work with the other agents in my office while I'm gone to make sure that this special is applied for your group. So should you call during next week while I'm out of the office, I will have you speak to either Vera or Maggie here in my office, and they will take down your pertinent information. They will take your credit card number at that point. However, nothing will be charged unless we get all 6 folks locked in. Also, American Cruise Line is going to set aside some cabins for us to make sure that we are able to get you guys booked, which is very nice. So I don't want for you to be stressed out or worried that I'm doing this presentation and then I'm ditching the country for a week. I've made all the arrangements to make sure that you guys will be able to book and get on board, and that if we do get 6 passengers, that you will be able to get that special. So again, that's why I put that booking deadline in place of July 28th. So that's an important one to keep in mind. So I am done with the presentation, and if you at this point have questions for me, please reach out. I do realize I should have told you what the deposit was, and I did not. So let me just really quickly read to you the deposit. The deposit for all categories is a $500 per person. So it would be a $1,000 deposit for the cabin. And then again, we would talk about the cruise protection at that time. We would want to make that within 2 weeks if you want to maximize your benefit. And that's again something that we would talk about. I will be back in the office on the 26th. So that's something that if you call in your reservation while I'm not here, I'll give you a ring back and we'll talk that through as well. So that would be something I would prefer you to discuss with me rather than with one of the other agents here in my office. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free. And if I don't have the answer, I'll ask that I can get your email or your phone number, and I will reach back out to you with that information.
Okay, Lisa, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a theme on this cruise?
There was not a theme listed, and my inside agent did not give me a theme. I can find out if there is one, but I have found that it's mainly themes on the paddle wheelers, but I have not heard that there is a theme, and I'm happy to find out.
Yes.
It wasn't listed online. I didn't see it.
Lisa, I have a question on Frank.
Hi, Frank.
Is there a single occupancy rate?
There is.
Or you have to have it? Okay.
There is. And if
what
you
is-
are, so generally speaking, the single occupancy rate is the cruise fare, not the port taxes and fees. I would be happy to get those rates for you and forward them to you. If I can get your information from Tan or from Dan, I'd be happy to call you or email you with those rates for all the categories if you are interested.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll call you offline. That's all.
Sounds great. I'd be happy to get that information for you. But there is a single rate. This vessel doesn't have single cabins. Some of the other American Cruise Line vessels did have single cabins, but this one did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to be what, discounted maybe 90% of the double occupancy rate?
You know, the port taxes and fees are about $575. So I would safely say, you know, take about $600 off of the rate for double occupancy. It's probably very close.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
That's probably really close.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay, so any other questions at this point?
So if you have to ask questions, then you have to unmute yourself. So hopefully you can kind of, over in the bottom left corner of your screen, you should be able to click on that.
Yeah, question please, Lisa.
Yes.
Could you show us the rates again, and could
absolutely.
some way you could
Sure.
Tan could take a screenshot. Okay. How do you do that?
So it's
Hit your print screen.
Yeah.
Hit print screen and copy it onto a Word or the Google Doc.
Okay. Let me do it. Hold on. I got to put my glasses on first.
I can send it to you, Joe.
All right, why don't you do that?
do
Well,
that.
I got it, Dan.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Excellent.
All right, well,
Okay.
there's no further questions,
So
or if there are, of course, you can call Lisa,
Yes, please.
myself directly. And just so we are confirmed, this is a SIRS state-sponsored event, travel event. And I don't think Milt Smith, who is our state SIRS travel chairman, is on this Zoom today. He was invited, but wasn't able to make it. But he will present this to all the SIRS in the state, this particular cruise. And it'll be under the SIRS-128 sponsorship. Well, any other SIRS member on any other branch will be invited to participate in this tour at the same time. That might be a bonus because there may be some people up in, I know Milt Smith is the state travel chairman and he's in Walnut
Walnut
Creek.
Creek. Yeah.
And so that information is just so you should know that there may be other branches interested in participating in this particular tour. The reason I asked about the theme is because I keep talking about the articles that I write about the Lewis and Clark expedition. Well,
Right.
this was the area, of course, where Lewis and Clark was. And I would imagine, Lisa, that someone and the American Cruise Line will probably say, hey, we ought to have a presentation on the Lewis and Clark expedition.
Oh, I'm sure that the historians and the naturalists will focus on that because the entire itinerary, if you go into it by day and look at the itinerary, that's the theme throughout. It speaks about where the Lewis and Clark expedition was throughout each port of call. So if you go in and read the day by day, it does. I guess it does keep with that theme, but it's not an official theme. And when you say theme, I generally think of American Cruise Line or American Queen usually will have like a jazz theme or a World War II theme or something like that. They're not listing this as a Lewis and Clark expedition themed cruise. However, it definitely throughout the itinerary is highlighted. But that's when you say theme, that's what I'm, thinking of. But that's not how it's listed at all. But
Okay.
But definitely it's when you read the day by day, which I've enjoyed reading, the day by day with the sites, it's interesting to see how it flows through each port of call. So I think it's a great itinerary, and I've sent other folks on this voyage that have really enjoyed it.
Okay, one other question.
Yeah.
I left a moment ago, so I may have missed and you may have answered it.
Sure.
But at the end of the cruise,
Yes.
is there a transfer to the airport, and which airport?
Yes. So at the end of the cruise, the entire everyone who's on board will be transferred to the Portland airport. And so they recommend that when we book your airfare, that we book your airfare after 11 a.m. So I am anticipating, they don't give the exact time, but I'm anticipating that you would arrive at the Portland airport about 9 if they're saying that you can book air after 11. They generally give you that 2-hour window from the time that they're dropping you off. So it's into Spokane and it's out of Portland. And
Okay.
those are great. I know, Tan, I shared this with you in Maryland when I met with you, but these from our area, and they're great spots to get into really easy with nice direct flights from the Oakland airport. So, and the pricing is, really, it's priced well. If we do a Southwest ticket, you don't have to pay for bags. So those are things that I'm happy to help any of the travelers with. If you want to go early or later, we can always modify however you want, but I'm happy to help you with your airfare. Working with Travel Center, I never tell folks, oh, you have to do your air with me. You've got to do your extended travel with, if you extend or deviate at the end. That's not how we work here. So if you are somebody who has a bazillion miles and you want to use your air miles, or you've got vouchers or things like that, I'm happy to guide you in the sense that I don't mind saying, who's your voucher with? Let me look at some different, air schedules. And, this is the air schedule that I might recommend that you use your voucher towards. Or if you're using miles, I might look up the partner carriers and again, give you an idea like, hey, this is probably the best option for you. This is what I would recommend. I do that for my clients all the time. So, don't think that you're locked into, doing your air and doing everything with me. I'm happy to guide you if you've got those benefits that does not make sense to let them go to waste. It's better to use them. So I'm happy to help you guys with that as well.
Since no one else is asking a question, I'll ask this question, and you probably don't have an answer, but you probably have some idea.
Okay.
Weather, what is the weather, or do you have any idea what the weather might be like on May 12th, 2022?
Well, I actually did look at the weather just to see what it looked like. So it will be mild while you're there. There is also chance of rain in May, but it will be mild. It shouldn't be overly hot. And when I say mild, low 70s to high 60s is when I, kind of Google average for that area. So it will be mild weather. If you're looking for this to be a voyage that's you're going to be sunbathing on the deck in the heat, this might not be the voyage for you. But if you are used to that normal, just nice mild weather and you don't mind wearing a lightweight jacket, then this is definitely your time frame to travel.
Okay, thank you.
That's always one of the first things I look at to make sure that the weather's good. That's important to me. Yeah. And then it's just to also give you a little background. So I do work with Milt Smith. I know that Tian has mentioned it. So SIR's branch 146 is the branch that Milt is a member of, and I have presented many tours for their group as well. And it's kind of a fun little story how I connected with that SIRS group. Of course, my mom worked with them for years in the past when Bob Spellman was the chair, because again, we're pretty close to them. But when I started here at the agency, I had an appointment with a gentleman who came in for SIRS branch 146, who was much like Tian, the travel chairman for your branch. And in walked my high school principal. So it was really fun. I got to work with Ken Richter for many years. He had fallen ill and stepped down from the position, but he's still a member and doing great. But it was really fun to be able to work with, my high school principal as my client. And he was actually somebody I traveled to on my very first international trip. I did a student exchange program in high school with Rotary and was able to travel to Japan and experience that with Mr. Richter. So it was really fun to be able to then continue on working with him and, planning tours for their group. And it was a fun experience. So it's kind of a little small world. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Lisa, Dan, thank you very much for all
Thank
your
you.
work.
Yeah.
Any other questions? As far as I'm concerned, I've heard everything I need to hear. And
Yeah.
anybody else have any questions?
One comment
Elizabeth?
I'll make, Tan, is that we are recording this session, so it will be available if people need to review it or they want to pass it along to someone. It'll be uploaded to YouTube so people can view the session
That's great.
later today.
That's great. And again, if anybody has any questions offline, much like what Frank had indicated, please feel free to give me a call at the office. Like I did share, I am leaving on vacation on the 16th and I will be gone from Friday and all next week. But like I said, Maggie or Vera can take your information for a booking and then I can wrap back around with you when I return to the office on Monday on the 26th. So we've got you all lined up and set, and hoping that this is, a great tour for you guys, and really looking forward to working with your group. I hope I can present to you again.
Good. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. I
Yeah,
think
see
that
you later.